It's July 7th, kind of a cloudy, overcast day here in Northeast Ohio. A little bit cooler. We got through that real bad heat wave. I think it's going to come back though, so makes it hard to do anything outside without sweating. Um, so I hope you all made it through the holidays. I was happy to hear that nothing major happened as far as a terrorist attack or anything like that. I know there were a few things that did happen, but I was kind of concerned that at one of our major celebration spots there might be something happening, which it didn't, thank God. So anyway, I got the pad in for the gazebo. It's pretty level. From there I'm going to build the floor. I still have to order the gazebo. It's probably going to take a week or so to get here. Just getting this in, letting the dirt have a chance to settle. It's been rolled out, and hopefully it won't settle much more. So one other incident I read about over the holiday was an illegal immigrant truck driver killed a state trooper in Pennsylvania. Apparently he was doing a roadside inspection, and this truck driver came along and took him out. What a shame. You know, family life is never going to be the same. I gotta wonder about this truck driver. Did he not know what he was doing? Was he not trained properly? Why was he given a CDL if he's an illegal immigrant? Could he speak English? All these things need to come out. Maybe it was just a freak accident, or maybe he wasn't paying attention. Was he on his phone? You know, there's a whole bunch of things that need to be found out about this. And in the future, I just don't think people who can't speak or read English, because all of our signs over here are in English, should be allowed to drive an 80,000 pound vehicle down the road. And this really hits home to me because about, I don't know, a week and a half ago, I decided to take my bike out for a trip, which I used to ride a lot more. I think over the years I've had so many close calls just out on a Sunday ride that sometimes it gives me pause, especially around the holidays and stuff. But anyway, I took the bike out, and on the way back home, I was coming through an area that's 40 miles an hour, and there's a truck stop there. And as I was approaching the exit of this truck stop, this one truck pulls up to right up to the edge of the exit, and I was probably 250 feet away, and I was getting a little closer. He nudges partly out into the road. So not knowing what's on his mind, I start to slow down, and I was probably doing 30 at that point. And then I bet you I was no more than 50 foot from passing him, going 30 miles an hour. He lunged out into my lane even more. So I had to lock it up. I actually skidded the rear tire, stopped maybe 5 foot from the corner of his front bumper. And needless to say, I said a few choice words looking at him, and he puts his hand up as far as peace sign in the front window. I couldn't see the driver too well because of the sun reflection on his window, so I don't know if it was a foreigner or not, but obviously whoever it was not a good driver. And so, like I said, after I stopped and said a few choice words, I just drove off. So yeah, that could have ended pretty ugly if things had been just a little bit different. Here's my bike. I've owned this for about 15 years. I've ridden it so many times, mainly just day trips, but I've had a lot of really great memories over the years. And although I've also had quite a few close calls, it's sometimes it gives me pause if I'm going to be out on the road when it's really busy, like around the holidays. I tend to not take it out just because so many people are distracted, and I think that just increases your odds of getting into a situation. Some of my favorite rides on the bike were along Lake Erie, which is, I live pretty near the shoreline, and a lot of good memories, like I said, but just so many close calls and incidents over the years. Just mainly distracted driving, people and just not paying attention to bikes. And unfortunately, it's never good when there's a bike accident. I've heard that from EMSs. There's the koi I fed them earlier. They're doing great. I hope they continue to do good until they get big enough that I can release them into the pond. I just redid this planting area yesterday. Previously, I had arborvitae planted here almost in the same spots that I replaced with rhododendrons. And they were above the roof at one time. They were shooting way up there, scraping against the roof. So I cut them back about halfway, but they just never came back. I think the soil's a little bit poor here, and they don't get a lot of sun, which with the arborvitae, I think they're going to work a lot better. And they're supposed to have purple reddish flowers for about a month or so during the springtime, so they should look really good. But so I ended up taking them out and replacing them with this. Looks a little better. Just keep up with it, and hopefully they survive the winter here. I think they're good for 20 below, so hopefully we don't get anything colder than 20 below this year. Last year we came really close. I think the one temperature I seen on my outdoor thermometer, we had a real cold spell, and it was -13. And I know my bamboo mostly died. The canes died, but the roots put out new canes this year. Not as good as or as big as the previous ones, but here we've had a couple mild winters where they are evergreen. They keep their leaves through the winter, and the canes don't grow anymore after the first year, but they stay green and they put out new stalks. And you can see right here the dead canes from they were alive last year. They died during the winter. I haven't had a chance to get in there and cut them out. That's a big job. I did it in a couple other spots where I have them growing, but here I haven't gotten in there yet. So I'd say these canes are probably about as big as this species gets in the north. They're about maybe 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Now, I guess in the warmer climates, there are some huge varieties of bamboo that will get 2-3 inches in diameter, that'd be great. I'd love to have them here, but they just don't survive. So these are a cold hardy bamboo, but they're just not that cold. Here's another patch of the bamboo. I believe the variety is Phyllostasis spectabilis, if I remember right. That was the dead canes you've seen over there were what these are. These are just the small ones that came back this year, because most of the bigger ones died off through I think maybe all of them died off. I don't think any of them survived, actually. So, and in this variety here is Phyllostasis basseti, unless I have the two reversed. But these are kind of nice. They have a green stripe. They're beautiful plants. And the dead canes I use for stakes. They work really well, and I have plenty of them. Here's some of the dead ones from this last winter that I cut and just thrown over here in a pile. So anytime I need a stake to stake up a small tree or whatever, tomato stakes, I can come over here and grab one, and they work great. So I wish I knew somebody who could use some of them, because I have plenty of them. Okay, back to the illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them. First of all, the illegal part, they need to be removed without a doubt, because they are illegal. Our laws have been written over time, and until that's changed, if they're here illegally, then they're illegal and need to be removed. Now, that said, I am all for immigrants coming to this country for the love of this country, because I think they bring their culture, and they bring that diversity in the good way that I was talking about in a previous video. Not diversity in the way that you're standing apart from each other, but diversity in the way that you can find common ground. So yes, if they're coming here for the love of the country, and I also welcome them wanting to change this country for the love of this country, not change for the hate of this country, because there are a lot of things in this country that do need to be changed. I have, no qualms about that. Several things that could be much better. But if you're changing a country for the love of it, you're going to look at things differently than if you want to come in and change things for the hate of it. And I kind of think that Mayor Mamdani hates this country. He's mentioned a couple of times about shredding the Constitution, which is the cornerstone of our country. So I would say he hates our country. So I would say that he should leave the country. And even Americans that hate our country, well, they're free to leave anytime. Go find another country that you don't hate. So anyway, that's it for that rant. I'm gonna try to get a couple more things done today. I think the sun's gonna pop out later, and it's probably gonna get hot and humid. So if I can take care of a couple small projects this morning, I'll not sweat so much. So I'll check in later. Well, my project for the day ended up being mowing the yard. I know it's going to get hotter over the next couple of days, so I took advantage of this cooler morning. Not much sun, the clouds are pretty thick, but when it did come out, it got hot really quick. Thank goodness there's still plenty of clouds out there because I still have to do the trimming. So probably after I get the trimming done, I'll take a break and maybe I'll get into something else a little bit later on. But like I said, it's supposed to warm up pretty good today and later in the week. Here was another danger that I noticed as I was mowing. This looks like the same type of bees as what I noticed out front on a different tree, and they seem to be honeybees. I'm gonna get stung here if I'm not careful, but this time it's all okay. I got stung, but at least I didn't get attacked by a bunch of them. So this is only about chest high or maybe a little bit lower, and luckily I didn't brush against it when I was mowing. I'll have to be careful when I trim. Now I don't know if these are the same bees that were out front or not, because they were out there for about a week and then they disappeared, so maybe they just moved here. I'll keep an eye on them and see what they end up doing. Okay, so the 4th is behind us and we're about halfway through this year, 2026. Flies by as I get older. And also I find a bit of relief that the holidays, when they're over, I guess I look at things different as I get older, and I get tired of all the manic people running around with their heads cut off trying to prepare for a holiday and make sure that everything's perfect. And I guess probably a lot more older people think like I do compared to the younger people, because I know I used to really look forward to the holidays. It was I didn't understand the old people who were so blasé about it. But anyway, I'm going to get ready to do the trim. I should work up a pretty good sweat doing that, even though it is a lot cooler. Hopefully the sun stays behind the clouds for a little longer, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week.